Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. So, in all reality, and when Stefan was legit talking to Ava about taking out Clyde and using one of, the family's goons to sit there and take him out, Ava was like, this wasn't a really good idea, give him a bunch of reasons why. He was like, all right, fine. But then towards the end of that episode, he wound up calling his mom to sit there and get help anyway. And I'm kind of glad that he did that because in today's episode, once she found out, oh, why you calling me for? Oh, you wanted to sit there and use him to help out Gabby? No, I'm good. Hell's no. In the end, it didn't really matter anyway. But I'm just glad that he decided to be like, you know what? I really want to do this. I want to sit there and end this. Um, and I'm just kind of glad that he at least went through with trying to do it because I feel like although Ava might have had some good points here or there, at the end of the day, it was better to sit there and try it and see if it was going to work than to just sit there and do nothing and just hope that something comes along. Now, Stephanie and um, Everett, Everlich, that's such a stupid name. I'm going to be honest. I'm not trying to offend anyone for having that name, but it's just like, Jesus Christ. Anyway, he is there trying to get information on who fired him. And he calls up Gwen, and he finds out from Gwen, hey, Gwen didn't sit there and fire him. Somebody else took over the paper. So Stephanie gets in there, and Stephanie's willing to help. I'm sitting there thinking in my head, I'm like, okay, so what happens when you do get the name? Then what? Okay, so you got the person's name. It wasn't Xander. It was the other person. The answer is not going to change. They fired you for the reasons that they fired you, and that's this whole episode of trying to sit there and go through who's going to fire, who fired him is like, and I mean Stephanie already made calls, so he could sit there and move to Boston and get hired over there. So you got a job, you just gotta sit there and move. But we all know that he came to Salem so he can get back Stephanie, which is why he didn't jump on it. Why he didn't jump on it the first chance that he got. They do some digging. Steph uses her connections with the ISA to sit there and get an answer from like one of the shell companies. And when Everett saw it, he saw the message. He was like, "Oh, it's nothing. It's nothing." I'm like, "Bro, you're not hiding porn or anything like that." So I'm like, what? Just show what it is. And when she sees who it was, she's pissed. She's pissed. You know, you look at them even on paper, and this was never going to work out. Okay, because first of all, he's never really gotten over his deceased wife, right? So he wasn't ready for any sort of relationship. That's number one. Number two, that's his dead wife's cousin. So that's already a bad mix. Three, you got together with her anyway, but then you don't want to marry her, and she's still staying with you playing house. And you should have told her from jump that you know you weren't ready to sit there and have anything too seriously or anything like that. Like when she wanted to get married, that's where he should have stepped away and be like, you know what, listen, this is not going to work. Instead of trying to find a way to make it work, because certain situations in a relationship is just you can't fix. I do believe that people do give up on relationships too early, but there are cases where there's certain things that you can't get past. In marriage, it's something that you can't get past. You either are going to do it or you're not going to do it, and you can't have people want opposite ends of that. Now this dude is also just being controlling and manipulative and stuff. So when she spots him, she calls him out right then and there. Now my whole thing is like, and I said this maybe a couple weeks ago. I was like, all right, so let me get this straight. You're not gonna break up with him because he doesn't want to get married with you. You're gonna somehow magically work that out. That's not the thing that's going to break up a relationship like it would every other relationship. No, 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 no. The fact that he bought the paper, fired your ex. Oh no, that's the one that's gonna be like, oh, this is too much. What the? Okay, sure. Now, unfortunately, I think this is probably the highlight of the episode. Most of the other stuff goes downhill. Just the conversation with Chad and Stefan isn't really that great. You know, in the beginning, he walks past Stefan, and he's like, he overhears that, Stefan wants to kill EJ, and he wants to kill someone, but he doesn't sit there and say who. He doesn't sit there and say it's Chad. He doesn't sit there and say it's Clyde. He says it's EJ. They get into it, Chad is there defending him and stuff, talking about Gabby. Gabby is a very sore subject of what happened years ago when Gabby was not in her right mind and Stefan took advantage of that. So it's definitely tension, even him bringing her up, saying that, she deserved better than that. And of course, Chad talks about, listen, I've done things for love. He doesn't sit there and allude to what he's doing. So they're both talking to each other, but keeping a secret um, from one another. Now, Paulina comes down to the police station. Honestly, tell you, she just could have just made a call. Her presence wasn't even really necessary there, but she's pissed off that the evidence went missing and the drug dealer got he got off. Now, apparently, what I didn't know was that Rafe was like, "Listen, I promised to clean up the city." His sister Ari apparently was an undercover cop that got killed. So I thought it was a nice little history lesson. After that, him and Jada went back. They decorated some stuff, or she decorated. I have no idea what the hell they did. And then they made out and had love it in the afternoon. Same thing. Wendy and Trip. Wendy got back. She was upset. She was a wreck. So Trip decided to distract her by playing cards. And then after that, they just had loving in the afternoon. I had to sit there and mute. I had to sit there and mute it because I was like, I already didn't want to sit there and see it. I always find these love making scenes to be the goofiest things on the planet, among the goofiest things on the planet. And then followed by the cringy ass music, it was just like, nah, no, I'm good. So I had to sit there and want to just mute that. Um, Harrison and Ava went out on their date. Ava's still guilty every time Harrison talks about the fact that he messed up. The keys got lost. Oh, at one point, even Jada was blaming herself. It's amazing that this so-called evidence room don't have cameras. Yep, and they're still relying on actual keys. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, I get that it's supposed to be somewhat small town, but Jesus Christ, come on, seriously? Anyway, he's upset with himself for blowing it, and she feels kind of guilty, so they make some pasta, and then they um actually don't have loving in the afternoon. That's the thing. I was like, there was a lot of loving in the afternoon, and except for that part. Now Stefan was there before they I think Stefan was there talking to Ava. Was that yesterday? I don't remember. See, the problem is the rest of this episode was not really that much memorable, so I don't remember if that happened yesterday or did that happen today. Could have been yesterday. Hmm. I don't know. The Stephanie and Everett stuff was interesting because it's going to lead to the led to the confrontation. That was interesting. Most of his other stuff was like, could have kind of did without it. But it wasn't the worst, though. It wasn't the worst. It was a middle of the road episode. Middle of the road episode. I don't know how, but somehow I still find it to be better than General Hospital. I don't know. There's something. Maybe it's my expectations is just too high for General Hospital. Maybe it just wasn't really that much of a good episode. Hmm. I don't know. I would sit there and say if you missed this part, if you missed this episode, you're not really missing much. Tomorrow's episode seems like it's going to be a lot better. So yeah, but if I missed anything, you know what to do. Come to the live stream tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll sit there and talk about all the shows, Days of Our Lives, General Hospital, Days of Our Lives, General Hospital, Born to Beautiful, and Young, the rest of us. And with that being said, I'm going to go. I'll see you in the next video.